Today, we delve into the seventh component of the Eightfold Path, Right Mindfulness. This is a crucial step into the realm of meditation, leading us toward the ultimate goal of liberation. The final component, Right Concentration, describes the profound mental states achieved by those who have attained deep meditative absorption and realization, not yet the wisdom of full enlightenment, but the states of inner peace and insight that we will explore. Today's lesson on right mindfulness is a vital transition, transforming an ordinary person into someone on the path to awakening. This teaching holds deep meaning, and those who listen should possess a profound sincerity of spirit. As we discussed previously, from right faith to right mindfulness and right concentration, those who embrace these teachings must elevate themselves beyond ordinary human experience. This statement might sound bold, but it's a fundamental truth. Knowing this, we must strive for humility while recognizing that once we embark on the journey of right diligence, right mindfulness, and right concentration, we can no longer live an ordinary life. Living ordinarily here doesn't mean behaving strangely, it means preparing to enter a profound state of awareness. This elevated status itself carries the risk of arrogance. To conquer this arrogance and still strive for inner liberation, each individual must, as the saying goes, take care of their own soul. You must ensure you remain steadfast on this noble path without succumbing to pride. This responsibility rests solely with each individual. It is true that we are embarking on a noble path, but we must also be wary of the danger of arrogance. If we succumb to pride, our downfall could be more tragic than that of an ordinary person. We might even descend into mental imbalance. Therefore, as you engage with these lessons, each person must prepare their mind to be pure, noble, and free from worldly attachments. A mind that is both profound and joyful is truly wonderful. This is something each of you must attend to yourself. Understanding right mindfulness. What is right mindfulness? We don't define it by its literal meaning, but by its spiritual essence. It is a state of mindfulness of the mind itself. In the Eightfold Path, there are three components related to mental states: right thought, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right thought involves cultivating wholesome thoughts to foster a pure and virtuous mind. Right concentration is the state of achieving an unmoving, thought-free mind. Are right thought and right concentration contradictory? Not at all. Right thought involves active, wholesome thinking, while right concentration is the cessation of thought, leading to stillness in meditative states. Right mindfulness, then, is the intermediary, a transitional stage between right thought and right concentration. Previously, we practiced right thought to purify our minds. Now, we use the methods of mindfulness to enter right concentration. It's not possible to jump directly from being an ordinary person into right concentration except for one person in the history of the world, the Buddha. All of us must pass through the stage of right mindfulness, a practice phase, to correctly transition into right concentration. Otherwise, we will never attain it. Right mindfulness and alertness. Right mindfulness is often paired with alertness. Right mindfulness is the method of practice, and its initial result is a state of spacious, clear, and empty mind, though not yet right concentration. The two terms, mindfulness and alertness, are frequently combined, like right mindfulness alertness. This state of alertness is when the mind naturally becomes spacious, clear, and pure, perceiving things as clearly as moonlight. This is the state achieved when one practices right mindfulness and alertness. Many people reaching this point mistakenly believe they have attained full enlightenment, but they've only achieved right mindfulness alertness. Right mindfulness, when practiced correctly, leads to this state. Incorrect practice will not. To cultivate this state of alertness and prepare for concentration, we need four conditions. Right view's goal of liberation, the first component of the Eightfold Path, right view, demands that our ultimate aim be liberation, not worldly wealth, rebirth in heaven, or temporary power. Right thought's morality. Right thought involves cultivating ethical conduct within our minds. Right livelihood's merit. Through right livelihood, we accumulate positive karma, which is essential for attaining right mindfulness. Right diligence's extraordinary will, as we've discussed. Practicing meditation requires boundless determination, a sky-high resolve hidden beneath a humble and gentle demeanor. This is right diligence. Without these four conditions, we cannot enter right mindfulness or right concentration. Therefore, before we delve deeper into right mindfulness, let us remind ourselves to examine these four aspects within ourselves. Have we adequately prepared ourselves according to Buddhist teachings as we step onto the Eightfold Path? If not, entering right mindfulness will be very challenging. Diverse meditation methods and their effectiveness. Now, let's begin with the methods. Right mindfulness is a method of meditation. From the time of the Buddha to the flourishing period of Mahayana Buddhism, countless methods of meditation emerged. The Buddha himself didn't use a specific method for his own enlightenment. But when he taught, he offered many methods tailored to different individual dispositions, a special ability only the Buddha possessed. In early Buddhism, the Buddha taught mindfulness of breath and contemplation of the body, feelings, mind, and mental phenomena. He taught the impermanence of the five aggregates, components of existence, and the principle of non-self, countless teachings that led many to enlightenment. After his passing, subsequent masters also introduced numerous methods to help people achieve concentration. Famous masters developed various approaches. Pure Land masters used chanting the name of Amitabha Buddha to achieve single-pointed concentration. Zen masters used enigmatic sayings, often called koans, to help practitioners achieve moments of sudden insight and clarity. Tiantai masters used progressive meditation methods from lower to higher levels. Esoteric Buddhism specialized in chanting mantras. The Surangama Sutra teaches seeking the true mind, while the Perfect Enlightenment Sutra reveals phenomena as illusory. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes the merit of chanting its name. There are countless such approaches, and many people around the world practice them. If we don't grasp the root principle, we might mistakenly believe there are many different schools of Buddhism. The truth is this: as Buddhism developed and progressed, many masters gradually moved away from the most fundamental methods. Thus, later practitioners often lost sight of the core and clung only to the surface. Because the root was forgotten, the methods became distinctly different. A meditator seeking the true mind or Buddha nature might seem completely different from a Pure Land practitioner or a mantra chanter. Yet, from the Buddha's perspective, they all stem from a single origin. Similarly, Tiantai and Perfect Enlightenment practitioners might seem to follow different paths, but they also share a single root. Therefore, it is the responsibility of monastics, and many share our view, to yearn for the rediscovery of the most fundamental methods to unify Buddhism. Each lineage currently seems to operate in isolation. If we can return to that common root, we will find that Buddhism is unified once again. This is our aspiration, the dream of all sincere Buddhists, to rebuild a great unity. Starting with the methods of practice. Common methods make it easier to share and unite. Once a common foundation is established, we can then develop advanced practices according to our individual inclinations, chanting, meditating, whatever we wish. But the initial foundation must be the same to achieve a common unity. If the initial foundations are different, then it appears as if many different forms of Buddhism exist in the world. Modern meditation trends and their challenges. Even today, new approaches are emerging. Some teachers introduce new methods. For instance, recently someone introduced a questioning method. You keep asking yourself a question until you either get enlightened or go mad. If you don't go mad or get enlightened, you're guaranteed to fall into delusion. Or someone introduces a hope method, which is a form of mindfulness, but the Buddha's mindfulness is far more profound. Some introduce martial arts meditation, striking with the fists while meditating. There's even tea meditation, where you drink tea according to a specific method to quiet the mind. Pour tea in mindfulness, lift the cup, apply it to pressure points, slowly sip each drop to achieve awareness. There are also calligraphy meditation, where people achieve single-pointed concentration while writing, creating soulful characters with a pure mind, writing a phrase of Dharma. In the movie Hero, the character Nameless understands the mind of the Emperor Qin Shi Huang by practicing calligraphy. He doesn't assassinate the emperor but realizes Qin's true desire is to unify China and end wars. This leads him to abandon his mission. Even as arrows rain down around him, he calmly continued his calligraphy, showing extraordinary martial arts skill combined with meditative calm. There's even laughing meditation, where you constantly laugh to cultivate a joyful state. If you can laugh and feel happy, that's fine, but don't just laugh for show. You might end up exhausted and look disoriented. There are also sleeping meditation and swinging hammock meditation. Swinging in a hammock, achieving mindfulness, and then falling asleep without realizing it. These are some of the new, often misguided methods. We don't criticize these practices. We simply list them. Anyone who wants to try them can. But this leads us to believe that the Buddha's wisdom is supreme. There's no comparison between the Buddha and later masters or patriarchs. The Buddha remains the most superior, transcendent, and unparalleled. The Buddha is unmatched. His wisdom is the highest in all realms. He taught the most fundamental and simplest path. The 4 foundations of mindfulness. The 4 foundations of mindfulness are sufficient to eliminate all mental defilements, surpassing all other spiritual methods. Spiritual capacity and meditation methods. We spoke of meditation methods and spiritual capacities. People have varying capacities, high and low. Meditation methods also have high and low levels of complexity. It's natural for those with high capacity to practice advanced methods, and those with lower capacity to practice simpler ones. But how do we define high and low? It's subjective. For example, if your capacity is a 9, you should choose a method of 8 or 7 difficulty to practice. You won't succeed if you pick a 5. If your capacity is a 5, you should choose a method of 3 or for difficulty to succeed. If you pick a 6 or 7, you won't reach it. This is the basic principle. What is high capacity? High capacity means that with a very simple method, you hear it, practice it, and immediately achieve single-pointed concentration. That's high capacity. What is low capacity? Low capacity means you need detailed, step-by-step instructions with every word, every ethical guideline explained thoroughly. Before you can enter concentration, it takes a long explanation to achieve single-pointed concentration. Both are valid. It's about matching your method to your capacity. A high meditation method uses very simple words. You grasp those few words and can practice immediately. A low method, however, explains everything in meticulous detail. Therefore, in our case, we are likely of low capacity. So, we must agree to choose simpler, more fundamental methods, right? Only then can we achieve single-pointed concentration. In ancient times, some Zen masters had very high capacity. They could achieve single-pointed concentration from a simple phrase. For instance, Zen master Dai Tri, when he was a young monk, visited Zen master Defuk. He knelt and asked, "What is the bamboo forest of Defuk?" This wasn't a direct question about Buddhist principles, but an indirect, metaphorical one implying, "What is your teaching?" "Your state of enlightenment." The Zen master replied, "1 stalk, 2 stalks." Dai Tri, not understanding, asked again, and Defuk replied, 3 stalks, 4 stalks. Dai Tri immediately attained enlightenment. This shows his extremely high capacity. Another example is Master Tru Chao. A monk asked him, "What is the profound meaning of the Dharma?" Tru Chao replied, "The cypress tree in the courtyard." The monk retorted, "Master, please don't use external objects to deceive me. Don't distract me from my own mind." Tru Chao reiterated, "The cypress tree in the courtyard." On hearing this, the monk attained enlightenment. Or, someone might ask, what is the meaning of the Dharma? While it's raining and the master simply says, "The rain is falling outside." If they attain enlightenment from such simple, abrupt answers, their capacity is truly high. They can achieve single-pointed concentration immediately from a simple phrase. Conversely, for those with low capacity and low-level methods, we need extensive verbal instruction, meticulous step-by-step guidance. In this world, from ancient times to the present, only one person had the highest capacity and needed no teaching whatsoever to achieve single-pointed concentration. The Buddha. Remember, when the Buddha was 12 years old, his royal father was performing the plowing ceremony, initiating the rice planting season. While everyone was bustling with activity, the 12-year-old prince sat beneath a rose apple tree, entering the first meditative absorption immediately without any teaching. The tree's shadow, which was initially to the west, miraculously rotated to stay over him as the sun moved, protecting him. When his father returned and saw this extraordinary sight, he knelt and bowed to his son. Later, after leaving home, the Buddha sought out the most accomplished masters of his time. Yet, after learning from them, he realized their teachings were not the ultimate path. When he asked them about the true nature of the self, they couldn't answer. So, he left them. He then pursued extreme asceticism, but eventually realized it was not the path to liberation. He resumed eating to regain strength and sat under the Bodhi tree. We know the story. He made a vow and re-entered meditation. After 49 days, he attained full enlightenment, becoming a Buddha. We can hardly comprehend this. It can be said that throughout history, No sentient being has possessed spiritual capacity as high as the Buddhas. We still need teachers and extensive guidance to gradually enter these states. The Buddha needed none. He entered concentration directly whenever he wished. The Buddha's compassion and the 4 foundations of mindfulness. This is why we revere the Buddha. While other holy masters and patriarchs taught only the methods by which they themselves attained enlightenment, claiming their method was the best, the Buddha, who needed no method for his own enlightenment, taught extremely fundamental and simple methods to guide all sentient beings. This again reveals the depth of the Buddha's wisdom. Other masters taught what they themselves achieved, but the Buddha, who attained supreme enlightenment without a method, then taught in a meticulous way to help all sentient beings. The most fundamental and cherished teaching of the Buddha is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. For the Buddha, this was the most basic, fundamental teaching, capable of transforming all types of sentient beings. Therefore, we too, being of lower capacity, resonate with this teaching. We and many other teachers prioritize the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Even in Theravada countries like Myanmar, many monks are deeply dedicated to the 4 foundations of mindfulness. However, there's something they don't realize. In Myanmar, they often divide the 4 foundations of mindfulness into 4 separate parts, teaching each in a different meditation center. The 4 foundations of mindfulness involve contemplating 4 aspects: body, feelings, mind, and mental phenomena. But some centers teach only contemplation of feelings, others only contemplation of the body, and so on. Contemplation of mental phenomena is often reserved for those who have already entered deep concentration. This means practitioners don't achieve the full essence of the 4 foundations of mindfulness as the Buddha intended. The Buddha's intention was for one person to engage all 4 contemplations. This shows that when we are far from the Buddha, we might not adhere strictly to his teachings. Even though Theravada traditions are known for their strict adherence and conservatism in preserving the Buddha's words, yet they too have divided the teaching. In truth, one person must cultivate all 4 contemplations. We list these various meditation methods to help you assess whether your practice is high or low. Many people don't achieve single-pointed concentration because they practice a high method that doesn't suit their capacity. For example, if someone tells you, stop your thoughts, and you can do it immediately, that's a very high method, isn't it? It's too simple. Can you stop your thoughts immediately? No. Not after 5 years, not after 10 years. This method is suited for advanced practitioners, not for ordinary people like us. Similarly, if someone tells you to simply follow your breath and you immediately calm your mind, that means you have very high capacity. That's why many people, despite being told to follow their breath for 10 years, still can't achieve concentration because the instruction is too simple, and it doesn't suit their capacity. Or, if someone tells you to just look directly at your wandering thoughts and they immediately vanish, you have very high capacity. Like the second Zen patriarch Haik, who asked Bodhidharma to pacify his mind. Bodhidharma told him, "Bring your mind here, and I will pacify it for you." When Haik looked for his mind, he couldn't find it. Bodhidharma said, "I have pacified your mind." Haik immediately attained enlightenment. If we could do that now, we'd be like Haik. Or, if someone tells you to chant Namo Amitabha Buddha and you immediately achieve single-pointed concentration, that's also very high capacity because the method is too simple. Although chanting the Buddha's name is said to be the easiest method for beings in the Dharma-ending age and definitely brings merit, if you can achieve single-pointed concentration immediately, your capacity is extraordinary. Many people chant for years and still don't achieve it because the simple instruction, though powerful, might be too high for their current capacity. What about koan inquiry? If someone tells you to contemplate who was I before my parents were born and you immerse yourself in that thought, forgetting everything else, sometimes you might go mad before attaining enlightenment. This is also a very high method. Anything that is simple is of a high level. Or, if someone tells you to see all is empty, seeing your body is empty, your mind is empty, and you immediately achieve single-pointed concentration, that's also high capacity. But methods that involve extensive contemplation, seeing the world as a dream or illusion, are a bit more complex and thus lower in difficulty. So, if you find yourself struggling, it means your capacity is lower and you should choose a more fundamental, lower-level method like the 4 foundations of mindfulness. When I first read the Buddha's teachings on this, I was surprised by how detailed and extensive they were. Why would the Buddha give such elaborate instructions when others could teach with just a few simple words? Only after many years of practice did I realize the Buddha's profound wisdom. He indeed taught lower-level methods for ordinary beings, with meticulous details to address the subtle defilements of the mind, a skill unmatched by any other Zen master. Right mindfulness, the bridge between thought and concentration. As we discussed, right mindfulness is the intermediate stage between right thought and right concentration. Right thought involves cultivating wholesome thoughts to purify the mind. There are countless wholesome thoughts that can make our minds pure and ethical. To cultivate right mindfulness, we select a few of these wholesome thoughts and continuously reflect on them, transforming them into right mindfulness alertness. This is the secret to transforming right thought into right mindfulness. We choose specific wholesome thoughts and dwell on them. The beauty of this is that the more we think about them, the more our mind calms down. This is the distinction between right thought and right mindfulness. Right thought encourages endless wholesome thinking, leading to a purer mind, but the thoughts continue. Right mindfulness, however, focuses on a few specific thoughts that, when contemplated, gradually quiet the mind, leading to clarity and stillness. What kind of thoughts lead to this stillness? When we differentiate between unwholesome and wholesome thoughts, we can choose the wholesome ones that cultivate mindfulness. Unwholesome thoughts lead to mental agitation and even madness. For example, thinking about harming others makes the mind agitated. Thinking proudly of oneself, looking down on the poor or the less skilled, leads to arrogance and can lead to mental instability. Greed, envy, constant complaining, all these lead to mental agitation and stress. Wrong views also fall under unwholesome thoughts, such as believing that life is just for pleasure. Criminals often share this view, believing life is short and they must enjoy it quickly. This leads to a degradation of character. Believing death is the end, or that absolute enlightenment is impossible, or denying the existence of enlightened beings or even divine beings. These views lead to despondency and a loss of morality. Right thought, on the other hand, involves thoughts like reverence for the Buddha, Dharma teachings, and Sangha community. This brings peace to the mind. Respect for all beings, wanting to treat everyone with respect without condescension. Loving kindness, forgiveness, and compassion, seeing everyone with love, even those who are crude or ill-mannered, and wanting to help them rather than hate them. These thoughts make the mind peaceful and stable. Reflecting on Dharma principles, for instance, reflecting on the fairness of karma. If someone insults you, you think, perhaps I'm repaying past karma, and your mind immediately becomes peaceful, responding with compassion to suffering. If you hear of a house fire, your first thought should be about karma, acknowledging that the victims are experiencing the results of their past actions. But your second thought, driven by compassion, should be to help them. It's both right dharma and ethical conduct. The 5 breaths of right mindfulness. Now let's turn to the specific thoughts that, when contemplated, gradually quiet the mind and lead to states of alertness and concentration. Correct posture. Sit in the full lotus position with the body soft and still. The full lotus allows the mind to enter concentration. If you sit in the half lotus, the mind resists. Try it. Your mind will respond to the body. Spine, straighten your spine. If your spine isn't straight, your mind won't enter concentration. Hands, your hands should be slightly away from your body, not pressing against your sides. The Buddha taught this. Eyes open, looking down. Initially, don't close your eyes. It takes years of practice to do that. Tongue. Touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Body, the entire body should be soft and still, not tense, but not so relaxed that you slump. This is the middle way. Mindfulness of breathing. The Buddha taught us to be aware of our breath because it brings alertness, preventing the mind from becoming dull. It reveals the fragility of life, showing how our existence is tied to each breath. This helps us understand impermanence. The Buddha taught 2 fundamental aspects of breath. Knowing the breath. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Many make the mistake of trying to control their breath, making it longer or deeper. The Buddha never taught this. We simply observe the breath as it is: long, short, shallow, deep. We don't interfere. Knowing the whole body, breathing in, I perceive the whole body, breathing out, I perceive the whole body. This practice, common in Eastern meditation and Qigong, emphasizes sinking the life force to the lower abdomen and feet, leaving the head clear and calm. This prepares the mind for more complex stages of meditation. Practice the first breath for 5 to 10 minutes, then the second for another 5 to 10 minutes. contemplation of impermanence. The third breath is more challenging. Breathing in, I perceive this body as impermanent. Breathing out, I perceive this body as impermanent. The Buddha was very strict about this. He didn't want us to merely think of impermanence simply as one day I will die. He wanted a profound experiential realization. In ancient India, bodies were left in charnel grounds, places for disposing of corpses. The Buddha instructed monastics to observe these bodies, how a body bloats after a few days, then decomposes, attracting maggots, eventually turning to dust and scattering. This contemplation of impermanence is deep and can take time initially. But with practice in a single breath, the mind can quickly visualize the entire process of decay to dust. When this happens, the remaining seconds of the breath are pure, still, and free from thought. This is where right mindfulness alertness begins to manifest. Contemplation of suffering. The fourth breath. Breathing in, I perceive this body as full of suffering. Breathing out, I perceive this body as full of suffering. Suffering here refers to unpleasant sensations and discomforts we endure throughout life until death. From birth, we experience hunger, headaches, stomachaches, heat, cold, insults, physical injuries, restless sleep. All these are forms of suffering. As we age, new sufferings emerge, like fatigue. This is a truth we cannot escape. Even when we feel healthy and comfortable, if we observe closely, we can still detect a subtle underlying discomfort or burden of carrying this body. The Buddha wants us to acknowledge this truth. Contemplation of mental defilements. The fifth and most crucial breath. Breathing in, I know my mind is still agitated. Breathing out, I know my mind is still agitated. It's a truth, isn't it? Even if our practice has reduced agitation, it hasn't eliminated it completely. The mind is still affected by greed, anger, and delusion. The first two breaths are technical. The next three focus on perceiving the negative aspects of existence: impermanence, suffering, and mental defilements. Why this focus on the negative? The middle way to liberation avoids two extremes. Seeing only the good, this leads to complacency and attachment to life's pleasures, making it impossible to leave suffering behind. Seeing only the bad, this leads to despair and a lack of motivation to practice or do good. The middle way to liberation is to face the negative aspects with a calm mind. This is the path out of suffering and the cycle of rebirth. When we practice these breaths correctly, we will see miraculous results. The Buddha guarantees that with these 5 breaths and the 4 conditions, positive karma, ethical conduct, clear spiritual direction, and strong will, everyone will achieve single-pointed concentration and right mindfulness alertness. This is just the beginning. It's not yet the deep meditative absorption of the first jhana. Many mistake this calm, clear, bright state for ultimate attainment. But it's still a long way from true, profound absorption. It's important to remember that these are initial stages. Great attainments are not easy. Those who practice these 5 breaths for 5 to 10 minutes each, and then continuously alternate between them, will develop a calm, clear, and alert mind where wandering thoughts arise but are easily recognized and fade away. The mind remains continuously pure and aware. The Buddha warns us never to dwell on the good aspects of the mind. Don't sit there admiring your calm mind. This is a pitfall. We must constantly remind ourselves that, even in tranquility, my mind is still agitated deep down. This prevents backsliding. If you don't remind yourself and simply gaze at your peaceful mind, that peace will gradually fade. If wandering thoughts arise during meditation, don't try to suppress them. Simply remind yourself, my mind is still agitated. This simple reminder is enough, even when the mind is perfectly calm. Repeat this phrase to prevent future thoughts from arising easily. For those whose minds are constantly agitated, even these 5 breaths might not be enough. This indicates a deeper mental illness. Such individuals need a stronger medicine. The teacher would say, breathing in, I know my mind is very agitated due to countless past wrongdoings. Breathing out, I know my mind is very agitated due to countless past wrongdoings. This phrase incorporates an element of repentance. For those with highly agitated minds, this repentance, combined with prostrations to the Buddha and extensive merit-making, is crucial. They must also cultivate right thought, practicing loving kindness, not envying, not being greedy. These are all forms of right thought that calm the mind. Ultimately, prostrations and merit-making will help them enter single-pointed concentration. Mindfulness in daily life. The 5 breaths we've discussed are for when you're sitting in meditation. But what about right mindfulness in daily life? When we're not sitting in full lotus, but engaging with people, handling situations, dealing with various events, our minds are busy, not calm. How do we maintain mindfulness in daily life? Actively helping others. This is a form of right mindfulness. Those who regularly help others are less likely to harbor resentment, quietly acknowledging one's own faults. This aligns with the middle way of facing the negative aspects of ourselves. Don't look for faults in others. Silently acknowledge your own shortcomings. The more you practice, the more faults you discover within yourself. Those who claim to have no faults after a year of practice are mistaken. The more you practice, the more aware you become of your imperfections. This is a sign of true practice. Continuously reminding yourself. Even while cooking, you can remind yourself, this body is impermanent. This mind is still agitated. Maintaining awareness during conversation. With practice, you can engage in conversation while simultaneously maintaining awareness of your mind. Seeing your body is impermanent and your mind is agitated. This is a sign of a true practitioner. However, there are times when intense focus is required, like working on a computer, preparing lessons, writing a novel, or tracking a criminal. In such cases, you must temporarily set aside these mindful contemplations and fully immerse yourself in the task. If these activities are wholesome, they are still considered a form of right mindfulness. It's important to distinguish between living a leisurely life and living a virtuous life. Both might appear outwardly calm, but their inner states are vastly different. A virtuous person, while outwardly calm, constantly seeks their own faults and helps others. A leisurely person is also outwardly calm, but they don't seek faults or help others. They just enjoy life, drink tea, admire flowers, watch the moon, etc. Meditation should not lead to a leisurely life. It must lead to a virtuous life. Many people confuse the two. The global need for meditation. The world today lacks meditation. People initially considered meditation a religious activity primarily associated with Buddhism and practiced by monastics. Ordinary people focused on earning a living or physical exercise. But today, that perception is changing. People are realizing that physical training is only one small part of human existence. The human being comprises body and mind. Physical training addresses only 1/10 of a person's value, the other 9/10 lie in the mind. Consider a person with mental illness who acts erratically and has lost their sense of self. They've lost their human value. While we might care for them, they no longer possess the qualities of a human being. The value of a human being lies primarily in their mind. Meditation, specifically, is a method for training the nervous system. As the world becomes increasingly complex with advanced technology, more information, and more tasks, people are becoming more stressed. The human brain hasn't expanded to accommodate this, leading to widespread mental health issues like anxiety, depression, heart disease, and personality disorders. The world is in chaos because people have forgotten to care for their inner selves. Now is the time for the world to recognize meditation, especially Buddhist meditation, as the most effective method for cultivating the human mind. One day, when the world progresses, all students in schools should practice meditation. Some countries are already experimenting with this, but it hasn't become a global norm because people tend to follow powerful nations. When powerful nations embrace meditation, then less developed countries will follow suit. We should not wait for Western countries to implement meditation in schools before we do. We should lead. Reflect on our history. 700 years ago, our education system prioritized literature and poetry over science and mathematics. If a wise emperor then had promoted science and engineering, perhaps today Vietnam would be a technological leader. Today, we still lag behind. But if we make a leap now, embracing meditation in our schools, 500 years from now, Vietnam could lead the world in spiritual civilization, integrated with technology. This is our dream. A Vietnamese overseas told me if Japan stood still for 100 years, Vietnam still wouldn't catch up. This is heartbreaking. Imagine if Japan continues to progress. We would be left behind. Our Prime Minister recently said that at our current rate of development, we would still be behind Thailand in 30 years. This is because 700 years ago, we lacked a forward-thinking leader to emphasize technical skills over poetry. Today, our nation lags behind the world, but now a revolution is needed. If our students learn meditation today, In 500 years, Vietnam could lead the world. This is our aspiration. We hope our government understands this sentiment and begins to apply these practices so that in 500 years, our descendants will not have to feel inferior to the rest of the world. Thank you, and I wish all of you, fellow Buddhists, great diligence in your practice. May we all achieve right mindfulness and alertness and deepen our meditation so that we can collectively tell the world that human beings must care for their minds through meditation. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.